Hello, YouTube land. This is Brenton Sawin coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Before we get started, if anyone out there has a story they would like to share on this show, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. I'll leave that in the description. And remember, too, I don't just do Bigfoot and Dogman and cryptid stuff, but, anything that's mystery, supernatural, or what have you. You can contact me. Someone emailed me the other day and had a UFO story, and they said didn't know if you covered this, and I've got several UFO stories that I've done. I just haven't done any in a while. So anything that's interesting, just contact me. And if anyone out there wants to contribute to help with the show, you can go to a link in the description, PayPal me. And thank you to those who have made a contribution, because it really has helped big time. And today we have someone from Tennessee and Bigfoot activity and maybe even possible Dogman. But I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then he can tell a story. If you would, man, whatever name you want to use, if you want to just go by your first name or whatever you would like to do, just introduce yourself and then tell about where you're from, and then tell us your story.
Okay, my name is Mike, and I live in Maryville, Tennessee. It's in Blount County, pretty much at the foothills of the Smokies. And my story, I deliver newspapers at night and out in the county, so I'm pretty much out in the wooded areas. And between the last two subdivisions I deliver, there's probably about a half mile to 3/4 of a mile stretch, and there's only one house on there that I stop at, and I don't even know where the house is because I can't see any lights up through the trees, so you have to have a pretty long driveway. But I used to think, when I was delivering papers and I'd stop at that box, I'd feel like, I thought it was like acorns hitting the top of my car. On occasion, when driving down through there, I'd hear some hit on my car, and I figured that it was maybe my tire throwing a rock up in the wheel well. But anyways, I listen to Coast AM at night, and there was one night, it was like in October of 2012, in that last subdivision, the houses are probably 80 foot up from the road, and it's an uphill grade, but they were talking about shadow people on Coast to Coast. And I was seeing something running, and it looks like they were running sort of sideways, watching me up at the houses, and I figured it was a shadow person, so I called a buddy of mine, and he thought I was crazy. I was listening to the Coast to Coast. And this happens probably 6 or 7 times in a period of like 2 weeks. I'd see something on there running across, and they would slow down and stop when I stopped at a paper box to put a paper in. And that went on for, a couple weeks. And then there was nothing for a week, maybe 10 days. And then one day I was driving, and halfway up the yard, I saw this tree, and I had never noticed it before, but it looked like a branch had broken off, because there was a part that went up at an angle, and then, but when the next day when I looked at that tree, it was skinnier, and there wasn't no branch sticking up, so I figured there was something watching me from behind that tree, which I don't know what it was, but, and then, of course, in that stretch of land, you deliver newspapers, you got to go to the bathroom every now and then. And I would always, since it was secluded, I'd always go to the bathroom in that area. And, let's see, but, I worked 2 jobs, so, sometimes I'd sleep in that area. And this one time I was sleeping in my car after I finished the route in front of the subdivision sign on that last subdivision. And I don't know how long I'd been asleep. I was leaning the seat back and everything, and locked the doors, closed the windows. And my car all of a sudden started up. I leave the keys in the ignition, but it started up, and I looked to my left, and I saw a face looking at me. All you could see was like yellowish green eyes looking at me, and you could see the skin around the eyes and the nose, and then it was just black everywhere else. And I grabbed the steering wheel and shifted into drive, and I was holding on to the steering wheel, and I drove for at least, it passed that mailbox, which was halfway between the two subdivisions, before I slowed down to pull my seat up, because the seat was still laying backwards. And, I turned my 2-week notice in then. And, it probably was Bigfoot there. And, the next day, maybe a couple of days later, I was delivering a route, and I came to one box, and it sounded like a big boulder coming down through the trees. And I put that paper in that tube, and rushed to the last subdivision, and I was bagging the papers as I was throwing them. I wasn't even stopping at any boxes. That was my last day doing that. So.
Wow. So was this kind of happening like in the same area?
Yeah, in the same area.
And obviously this thing is so black that it's hard to see. Is it like dark because most of the time newspapers are delivered and it's still dark?
Oh yeah, and there's not very many street lights in that last subdivision, and there ain't any street lights on that stretch between the last two. It's just a wooded area.
So what started your car? That's kind of puzzling.
I have no idea, because I know I didn't start it, because that's when I woke up when the car started.
Was your window down?
No, my window was up. That's the weird thing, is I don't remember starting the car, but that's what woke me up, was the car starting.
Wow, that's weird, isn't it? I mean, almost makes you wonder if it is a shadow person. But did it look physical though when you were looking at the eyes and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you couldn't really make out the shape or what's.
Well, I just saw the eyes and the skin around the eyes and the nose, and then it was just black.
Yeah.
Around it.
I mean, sometimes they are so black it's hard to see them. I've seen just the eyes before, and I couldn't even make out the shape. These were like glowing red. So you seen him coming, going across the road. Now thinking back on it, did it look more like a Bigfoot to you then, or?
This was back in the Smokies where I saw that. I was coming back from Harris when it came across the road in a rainstorm, and because I take 441, because I can get to Townsend, Tennessee, in about 10 minutes, and then go through the Smokies to Gatlinburg, and then go take 441 to Harris Casino in Cherokee, North Carolina. And I was coming back from that, and I'd been driving for a while, and it was raining, and I wasn't going, that fast, and sometimes I can travel the whole hour and a half and not see any cars. And I saw something on two legs coming across the road, and I thought, was that a bear or Bigfoot?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a bear's not going to run across the road on two legs, but
yeah.
But the acorn throwing, that's Bigfoot-like.
Yeah.
And
there was occasional times.
Did you ever see that big boulder coming through the trees? Did you see it hit, or what was the deal with that?
I don't even know if it was a boulder or not, because when I came back through, there wasn't nothing in the road. And I thought maybe something was coming down through the woods at me.
Right.
I mean, but that's what it sounded like. It was just breaking trees and branches. And
now, when you saw the face looking at you, what kind of nose did it have?
Well, the nostrils were down, but it was a flat nose across the face.
Yeah, see, that's Bigfoot-like.
It wasn't like it was an ape-like, but the nostrils were facing down, but it was sort of flat.
Right.
And
now,
this is quite.
didn't you say you had these things like messing around your property?
No.
Or you said
no, I don't have them.
You was wondering if it might be a dog man?
Well, I have a father-in-law who has 60 acres up in Townsend. I used to go ginseng hunting up there, and it'd be like a 30-minute walk to where I would know where the ginseng was, and I won't even go up there anymore. And I told a few people, friends of mine, and none of them believed me or anything. And I went online, and, they got those distressed rabbit calls, what they call predator calls. I thought, I could take them out there one night, and we sit there and start using that call. But I thought, man, what if there's like a dog man out here? That's the last thing I need. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I hope I don't ever run into one of those. Those are the most scary to me. Couldn't
but
imagine.
After listening to your story, I thought, well, maybe Bigfoot was trying to get me out of there and using his mind waves, or maybe he started my car. I don't know. Maybe he thought there was a dog man around that I needed to get out of there. I don't know.
Yeah,
over it in my mind.
If your window was down, I would say maybe it reached in and turned the key.
Yeah.
But,
it was down.
The only other possibility is it was either something supernatural or you did it without being conscious of it. That's very odd. And then to have something looking at you when the car started, that's very, very strange for sure.
But I don't remember starting it or anything, but that's what woke me up was the car starting.
Yeah. Is there any other details you can think of that you've run across out there? Or?
Well, no, I started delivering papers again in December of last year, but I deliver in Knoxville, Tennessee now.
Right.
But I've had a few things, because now if I take a nap on the route, I sleep in front of this Catholic church.
Yeah.
And then I drive along. It's about 3 football fields long that I go, and all that's on that road is a church, a little Baptist church. And, if I have to use the restroom, I'll use the restroom in that parking lot, because I thought, and there was one time I was going to the bathroom over there, and across the street I heard some bushes shaking. Because there's a creek that runs through there, and, sometimes you hear the frogs croaking, and sometimes you don't.
Right.
And I thought, surely Bigfoot ain't going to get me while I'm using the restroom. That's against the rules, right? Especially when you're on church property.
Yeah. Well, when you were listening to the show about shadow people and stuff, have you ever had any kind of supernatural things like that happen?
No.
Never. Sometimes when people listen to that kind of stuff, it's because they've experienced something. No strange other strange kind of activity that you've ever experienced?
Nope. Never ever.
Wow. Yeah,
but I won't go in the woods anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah. Your car starting and then seeing a face like that looking at you, that's pretty spooky right there.
Oh, yeah, it was. Let me tell you. That's not something you want to wake up to.
Now the skin around, the nose and stuff like that, what color was the skin?
It wasn't quite pink, but I'd say grayish.
Yeah.
Pink.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty common. And then you said the eyes were a yellowish green?
Yeah, yellowish green. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that a few times.
Where the eye was pretty yellowish.
Right. Well, that's pretty interesting, dude. For real. Sounds like you were encountering, a Bigfoot to me. It's That's what it sounds like. I mean, by the
Yeah.
description you've given, and because sometimes they're so jet black, man, it's hard to see them when it's still dark.
Oh yeah.
And
there's been people come up missing over the last 10 years out through there, where they'd go out riding their four-wheeler out, and all they find is a four-wheeler.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good. Well, man, that's interesting. I appreciate you sharing it. If anything else
no
pops
problem.
up, man, just holler and come back and talk about it if you want to.
Okay.
Sound good?
I appreciate it.
Hope everybody out there in YouTube land enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty interesting. Sounds kind of squatchy to me, the throwing of stuff and the description of the face, and being so dark it's hard to see it, and so anyway, I appreciate it, and got some interesting stories coming up that I'll be trying to get going here this week. Several different stories, different kinds of stories too. So hang tight, and I'll see you all on the next video. God bless you, and bye-bye.